had a really interesting conversation with a client that I thought I'd share with you. She asked me this great question. She said, Fran, what's the smallest and simplest thing I could try today that will have the biggest impact on my blood glucose levels? Great question. The reason being is that we know when it comes to habit formation, small and simple are key. So what did we come up with? Well, what we thought was trying the following experiment. She's going to plan to take a 2-minute walk within 60 to 90 minutes of eating her evening meal. The reason for this is we want to see if her own data matches that was published back in 2022 from this meta-analysis published in the Sports Medicine Journal, which showed that even a short walk between 2 and 5 minutes after a meal helped to lower postprandial blood glucose levels, which simply put means that it reduced the amount that blood glucose or blood sugars rose after a meal. Why should this work? Well, when we eat carbohydrates, it breaks down into the smallest units that we call glucose. This glucose travels in our body to our cells to provide us with energy. Now, when you're living with type 2 diabetes, we have a challenge of regulating the amount or the concentration of glucose in our blood, and it tends to build up too high. And this largely is part to something called insulin resistance, which brings me all the way back to our walking experiment. The idea here is that going for a walk after a meal will help to make this woman more insulin sensitive or reduce her insulin resistance. Effectively, by walking, her muscles are going to ask for glucose from her blood and help to uptake it into the cells, regulating that blood glucose in that range that we want to keep it. So I don't know what the data is going to say, we've just set the experiment, but I've certainly seen this to be effective in clinic before. And I also thought, I wonder if this is something you've tried. If so, I'd love to hear if you found this to be an effective tool.